Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Elevenses. I can see we have precisely one live viewer at the moment, but hopefully figures on catch-up will go up later, and maybe a few people will pop in as the show goes on. We've got a fairly full, crowded schedule of news and views for you today. What are we going to be looking at? Well, we've got a quick update from the Argentine WorldSBK Round, which has been cancelled. Harley's expansion plan has gone into reverse. That's a pretty big story, I think. Bromley's taking on Croydon over COVID-19 road closures. I'll cover some nonsensical better riding tips as well. And I'll, if I've got time, I'll talk a little bit about how to reach hard to reach riders. I may have to give that one a miss if we overrun. Anyway, don't forget you are watching Survival Skills Rider Training. Kevin Williams, I am, and the Elevenses show. Don't forget, if you have any questions, any comments, any feedback generally on the show, do drop me a line. I'm always happy to see what you have to say and to answer questions. Okay, let's move on rapidly then. World Superbikes. Obviously, motorcycle racing series across the world have been a bit of a mess thanks to the COVID-19 crisis. And the latest news is that the FIM and Dorna, who are the Superbike Championship organisers, have just announced that the Argentinian round of the 2020 Motul FIM Superbike World Championship has been postponed until 2021. Of course, what that really means is the round originally scheduled for the 9th to the 11th of October this year has actually been cancelled. The circuit itself has a 3-year contract to host World Superbike, so the postponement really refers to the fulfilment of that particular contract. And the final year's racing on that contract is now scheduled for 2021, although a date has still to be agreed. Okay. Now, one piece of big news is comes from across the pond in the US, and the Bennett's social page told me that Harley Davidson have dropped the first model in their model range that has actually appealed to me in 40 odd years. And the machine that's bitten the dust is the Bronx Street Fighter. Now, let me just set up the screen share again. Here is the vehicle in question. You should be able to see that now. That's the Bronx Street Fighter, and just until a few days ago, it was listed on Harley's site as coming in 2021, but now apparently it's vanished completely from the future vehicles list. So it appears that it's the first victim of Harley's plan to reduce its model range under the guidance of the new CEO, who's Jochen Zeitz. The Bronx, along with a rather ghastly-looking Pan America adventure bike, which I believe I've shown you on here before, well, that may still go ahead, apparently, and an all-new black single-seat cafe racer. They're all due to be powered by a brand-new motor, the double overhead cam Revolution Max engine, which was a 975cc water-cooled motor. Obviously VW twin, but punting out a very healthy 113 horsepower and 70 foot-pounds of torque. Eventually, a bigger engine, 1250, was due to appear as well. And the former strategic plan also included a big push into the electric bike market as well as launching this new range. They were also aiming to tackle new markets as well. Harley won't release full details of their new plan, which is called Hardwire, until later this year. It's confirmed that it will move to enhance what they call core values, to prioritize markets that matter, and to reset product launches and product lineup for simplicity and maximum impact. So lots of sort of buzzwords, but not a lot of detail. Zeitz apparently said last month, we're streamlining our motorcycle models by 30% with plans to further refine our product portfolio. And he says that basically better balances their investment in high potential segments. And to conclude, he says that they plan to expand their offering of iconic motorcycles, those which most embody the spirit of Harley Davidson. Now, presumably that means that the upcoming new look Harley range will be an old look Harley range, targeted entirely at the usual cruiser and custom market, powered by the old air-cooled V-twins, rather than these new motors and new markets, which was the former strategy of their previous CEO, Matt Levertich, who was looking particularly to crack into places where Harleys traditionally didn't sell, and to take on the competition from the likes of Indian too. It could be a dangerous strategy, because what the Bennett's page doesn't actually tell us is the financial background to this revised strategy. Just like other big manufacturers, including Ducati, who you may remember from last week's last Sunday's webcast, have just parted company with their top rider Andrea Dovizioso in MotoGP in an attempt to save some money, and KTM. Harley Davidson are facing plummeting revenues thanks to the COVID-19 crisis. Although they've got some bounce back as lockdown across the globe has eased, the economies right across the world are facing an unprecedented level of decline, something not seen since the Great Depression of the 30s. And that's impacted sales results for Harley. Compared with 2019, the second quarter of 2020, Harley's sales in America fell 27%. Worldwide sales fell by the same percentage. First quarter sales were also pretty poor. So Harley overall in the first half of this year is down 22% on last year's sales. What that means in terms of revenue is that they are down no less than 47%. And that means a 28% drop for the year to date. So turned into net income, Harley has actually lost $23 million in the first 6 months of the year. So the times are tough for all motorcycle manufacturers, and they certainly hit Harley. And the big worry, though, must be that if Harley does not show the same post-lockdown sales boosts that other brands have been reporting, and that is a concern. So in some ways, whilst ditching new models for the established ranges makes sense perhaps in the short term, the big risk is that longer term, the very socio-economic class that Harley depends heavily on for their sales, that's the sort of, well, it's a bit difficult to describe, but these are the Rust Belt manual workers, the ones who tend to buy Harleys. They'll be the same group that are most likely to be hit by financial uncertainty, unemployment. And if they haven't got the cash to spend on Harleys, that could be very bad news for Harley indeed. Branching out into new, more affordable machines might indeed turn out to have been the best strategy longer term. Okay, now don't forget you are watching Elevenses with Kevin Williams and Survival Skills here. I'm taking you through the next 10 minutes or so with some topical news, controversial views, and if we get time at the end, something about better biking. So, okay. If you've been out in London over the last month or two, you've probably stumbled across some kind of traffic rerouting. Now, my first experience of this was back in early June, when I took a trainee out when I first reopened after lockdown, onto one of my in and out of central London routes. It was somebody doing a back to biking course with me who wanted to take his new scooter into town and actually experience the traffic with an instructor along, basically to, I won't say hold his hand, but to give him some hints and tips on how to deal with filtering and the kind of problems to look out for. So we ran in through Camden Town. It's one of my, as I say, one of my regular routes, and I ran straight into a traffic jam. And when we finally got to the front of it, because the jam was so intense and so tight, we couldn't actually filter. In fact, some cyclists were stuck in it just as badly as we were. And all this turned out to be a newly installed pinch point, bringing the width of this particular road down from 2 lanes to 1 lane as a set of traffic lights. So this pinch point caused a tailback right down that road and back across the previous set of lights. So actually getting across the lights was an issue because it jammed up right across the traffic lights. This was all done with under the guise of social distancing and widening the pavement for pedestrians. But in fact, the pavement at that particular point is already hugely wide. There's absolutely no justification for widening it. It's not even a particularly busy street where people walk. It's not that kind of road. Anyway, over the next few weeks, as I was out and about, I also noticed that they have restricted entries into the borough with some other pinch points. As there's some works going down on the Euston Road. Anyway, Islington has also come under fire for putting blocks along residential streets. And what's that? Again, that's caused is the bottlenecks along arterial routes, because drivers have been forced to find alternative routes around these road blockages. And an even more interesting story, I can't find the actual story at the moment, or the picture which was attached to it. I read it and then forgot to bookmark it, and I've lost it. I can't find it on Google. But some road blocks put in place by, I think it was Newnham in East London. They put green planters across roads as a way of cutting access for cars. But of course, in leaving access for cyclists, what they've also done is they've left access for moped thieves. And apparently there have been several hot pursuits have been interrupted when the police car came around the corner and found moped riders escaping through the gaps left for the cyclists. So there are real problems here. As any engineer could tell you, if there's a certain volume of traffic moving through a network of roads and you close some of the roads that network consists of, the flow has to move to those remaining roads, and that causes an increased amount of pressure on those particular streets. So what's going wrong here? Well, one problem is that these initiatives are being put in on a borough by borough basis. And of course, if you massively restrict access through one borough, what do you think happens? It's not rocket science. Traffic moves onto roads it can still get through, which in many cases happen to be in the borough next door. And these next door boroughs aren't all very happy about it. Croydon looks to be heading for a major dispute with Bromley. They've just announced to their residents, Bromley have, that they are beginning legal moves to get the traffic calming measures replaced from residential streets in the Crystal Palace area, put in place by Croydon Council. The low traffic neighbourhood scheme in Croydon is funded by Transport for London. It was introduced by Croydon Council at the beginning of the month with short notice and without public consultation and without advising their council colleagues in Bromley. And Croydon have used special powers given to councils during the coronavirus lockdown to introduce a range of traffic calming measures, including a bus gateway. And all this diverts motor traffic off residential streets in Upper Norwood. All well and good if you live in Upper Norwood. But if you happen to live on the Bromley side of the boundary, then even though overall traffic levels remained lower than they were pre-lockdown, pre-COVID, the traffic has moved into Bromley, and residents over there have complained about extra traffic running through their streets. And of course, schools are due to return next month, and that'll bring a big upsurge in peak time traffic. The Tory-led Bromley Council has support on this issue from the Labour opposition, so it's a real cross-party response. The council leader from Bromley has been quoted as saying, however well-intended Croydon's objectives might have been, they have neither been thought through properly or consulted upon, and that simply isn't acceptable. And he goes on to say that he can confirm that Bromley has this week initiated the first tentative legal steps to try and have the barriers removed by order if common sense isn't deployed and their street paraphernalia removed swiftly, as we would far prefer. And Bromley are relying on a section of the 1984 Road Traffic Regulation Acts, which prohibits London councils from taking actions which impact roads in another authority. There seems to be a bit of an impasse here, as the Bromley Council are refusing to discuss the issue with officials or councillors from Croydon until the traffic calming measures are removed. And no, there's obviously no debate there. They just want them taken out. Okay, so where are we doing? Well, we're at 11:15. One of the where are we? So yes, okay, do set a reminder. Elevenses is on at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays and Sundays, and you can catch up over on my YouTube channel, Survival Skills UK, or you can use my coffee page, which is here. And if you go over there, you can also become a supporter or a subscriber, and for as little as £3 a month you can access a range of new content which I'm putting up all the time. I'm currently putting up 2015's back catalogue of Facebook posts. 2014 is already up. Most of 2015 is now up, and 2016, 17, 18 and 19 are still to come. Right, I've actually run out of time. I didn't think I thought I'd get rather further than I have done, but anyway, I hope you found the today's show interesting. We'll be back on Sunday, and I'll cover the other items that I had set up for today. Badly written better biking articles which simply serve to promote a particular website. I have found one which really annoyed me. I'll talk about that next week. And the other thing I want to talk about is a little bit about how to reach difficult to reach riders. So we'll definitely get that in on Sunday. Meanwhile, thank you very much indeed for tuning in to Survival Skills, Elevenses webcast. And I hope Kevin Williams, will see you same time on Sunday. Thank you very much again, and bye for now.